What's up, y'all? Brandon with BC Talks here. So this past Black Friday, my local comic book shop had 10-cent dollar bin books. They had half off of keys, back issues, and slabs, and so many more deals. It was a really great time. And I also met a couple of y'all out there who watch the channel. So shout out to y'all that are watching the channel. I didn't know I had viewers in my local area too. But I went out there for the Black Friday sale. I picked up, of course, a giant stack of comics. So let's see what I got in today's video. Before we get started, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel for more comic book and pop culture talk. And I recently set up an eBay store for the channel. I'll leave a link down in the description so y'all can follow that. And I don't have any books uploaded there yet, but as the days go on, I will start uploading some of the books on there. So make sure that you give that a follow to stay updated on any books that you might miss on the Whatnot auctions. And speaking of Whatnot, if you use my link down in the description, you can follow the channel. And if it's your first time signing up for Whatnot, you'll get $10 off your first purchase. So make sure you take advantage of that because I am going to be having a lot more Whatnot auctions in the upcoming weeks. So give me a follow on Whatnot and stay tuned for upcoming auctions and take advantage of that $10 off your first purchase. So, like I said earlier, my LCS had some really great deals for their Black Friday sale. They had dollar bin books for 10 cents each. They had half off of keys and back issues. They had half off of variants and incentives and percentages off of their slabs as well. I didn't pick up any slabs, but I did take advantage of the 10-cent dollar bin books, of course, because y'all know I love dollar bin diving. And I picked up some half price back issues as well. Now we'll go over the dollar bin books first because the half off back issues I picked up were all run filler from my Uncanny X-Men run. So we'll go over those dollar bin books. And the first one I want to go over, I actually didn't rebag and board because I wanted to flip through it with y'all. I thought it was a funny coincidence because, as y'all know, if you watched the last video, I won a Wonder Woman #1 slab on eBay, which was from the George Perez run of Wonder Woman. You can see it in the back there. And y'all know I'm a big Wonder Woman fan. If you watched the video, you know I went into detail about the how I'm a big fan of the post-crisis Wonder Woman series by George Perez, and I'm a really big fan of. I think that DC's post-crisis era is probably my favorite era of comics, just because of how it influenced the later on '90s and early 2000s animated series, which is how I got into comics and superheroes. So I'm a big fan of the post-crisis DC era, and in the dollar bins for 10 cents. I found this guy, which is Comics Interview number 26. And I thought it was a funny coincidence because this one is the DC's Crisis Team Talks. This has interviews with Marv Wolfman and Bob Greenberger, who were the orchestrators of the Crisis event, which you know was the 11-part event, Crisis on Infinite Earths. And it also, the cover is by George Perez, who you know is one of my favorite comic book artists, Dick Giordano, and Arn Starr. So some really heavy hitters on that cover as well, and interviews with all of the people who were involved in the Crisis on Infinite Earths event, as y'all can see here. So I thought that was a really interesting book because I'm a big fan of the I'm a big fan of DC's post-crisis era. So I'm really interested in diving, kind of flipping through this and seeing the mindset of the writers and all the people that were involved in the crisis event, kind of their mindset and whatnot. So yeah, I thought that was a really interesting little coincidence that I happened upon that, just a few days after I made that video about how I'm a big fan of the post-crisis era of DC. So this next one I have actually talked about on the channel before. This is Marvel Fanfare number 9. The key for this one is that it has a pinup of Kitty Pryde with Garfield, and the first story is also scripted by J.M. DeMatteis, who, as y'all know, I'm collecting the Giffen and DeMatteis run of the Justice League America series. So, JMD Mateus and Keith Giffen, who passed recently, are two of my favorite writers. So I'm collecting their runs. So an interesting little book there. And I talked about this one before. It has some funny pinups. There's one with Wolverine, and there's one with uh, Iron or Power Man. I was just going Power Fist, Power Man, who you might know better as Luke Cage. So just some funny little pinups in the back of this one, and I've showed those on the channel before. This one is an interesting one. This is Wanderers #1. This is not a key. I just bought it to read. I've never heard of this series, but the cover looks really interesting, and it's connected to the Legion of Superheroes, and also, of course, it is post-crisis DC. So I am, which I said before is a period that I am very interested in. One of my favorite DC period, one of my favorite periods in comics. So I've never heard of this series, but I am going to. That one's going to be a reader's copy for me. I'm going to check that one out. This next one is going to go in my spec box. It's just a little light spec, nothing crazy. It is Steel #1. And this is the first appearance of Natasha Irons, who later becomes Steel in Action Comics number 806. Steel is John Henry Irons, the guy there on the cover. And Shaq actually played Steel in a movie in the 90s as well. But Natasha Irons is Henry Irons' niece. And she actually has a prominent role in the current Steelworks comic series, which I read the first couple issues, and it's actually pretty decent. I haven't read past the first couple issues, but those first couple issues were pretty good, pretty interesting. And the reason I'm putting this in the spec pile, just for some light spec, nothing crazy, is because Natasha Irons is a character that I could see them introducing in a streaming show or a movie at some point in the future. It's a good idea, regardless of how you feel about diversity and inclusion in media. I know that South Park Panderverse episode that came out kind of lit the world on fire for a little bit. But regardless of how you feel about it, it is a fact that they do like to include more diverse characters in media. So it's a good idea to collect the first appearances of those characters. So I think Natasha Irons, we're getting the Iron Heart series in Marvel, which is Ironheart was the black female Iron Man, the kid. Now she was also in the the second Black Panther movie. They introduced her, and they're supposed to be doing a series about her. I don't know if maybe they scrapped that or not. We'll see. But so maybe they won't do Natasha Irons in DC because it might be too close to to that character Ironheart. But I don't know. We'll see. Natasha Irons came before Ironheart. She came in the 90s, and I think Ironheart came in like the early 2000s. So she came first, like a lot of DC characters, and then Marvel kind of made a character similar to that. So we'll see. Maybe some light spec on that. But this next one is Wonder Woman #10. Y'all know I'm a big Wonder Woman fan, and this is a Jenny Frison cover. I'm a really big fan of Jenny Frison. She's one of my favorite modern cover artists. I really like. I don't know what it is about her art. Maybe the pencils. Maybe the way she pencils. I'm not sure, but I just really like her art. And this is one of her earlier ones when she was doing some covers for the Rebirth run of Wonder Woman. Now she does like a whole bunch of variant covers for all sorts of like. She has a lot of really great Poison Ivy ones, Wonder Woman, of course, um, and Harley Quinn ones as well that I have. I got a box full of Jenny Frison covers, variant covers in the back there. But this next one is another cover artist that I am a big fan of. One of my favorites as well. This is Alex Ross cover, and it's not a key. I just got it because it's an Alex Ross cover, and it was 10 cents. This is Superman #35. Love me some Alex Ross. I always pick that up, especially for 10 cents. This next one is one I've talked about on the channel before as well, and I'm gonna sell it. I got the sticker on there. This is Marvel Fanfare #24. It's the first meeting of Carol Danvers and Monica Rambeau, who was Captain Marvel at the time. And Carol Danvers also discovers in this that Captain Marvel died of cancer. Now, we did recently get the Marvels movie, which, was the first meeting of Carol Danvers and Monica Rambeau as a superhero. She's not Captain Marvel in the movies, as we all know, obviously. Carol Danvers, Brie Larson's character, is Captain Marvel in the MCU. But in the comics, Monica Rambeau, after Captain Marvel was the first Captain Marvel. They're very on the nose, it's a comic book name. So Captain Marvel was the first Captain Marvel. Then he died, and Monica Rambeau got powers and took on his mantle. But Carol Danvers, who was a protege of him, she didn't know about his death until this issue when she finds out, and Carol Danvers was actually Miss Marvel. And so Monica Rambeau was Captain Marvel, and she was the first black female Avenger in comics. And she also led the team for a little bit. And she was Captain Marvel for like 30 something years. And Carol Danvers didn't actually become Captain Marvel. Carol Danvers was Miss Marvel for the longest time. I think she had a couple other monikers as well, like Warbird or Firebird or something like that. And then in the early mid 2000s, she like 2010ish, she Carol Danvers became Captain Marvel. So for the longest time, Monica Rambeau was Captain Marvel, and that's the backup story. And this the first story is like a fantasy story, which is what the cover is. I think the Marvel fanfare issues were all like that. They had like a fantasy story and then a story that actually had something to do with Marvel. I actually read the backup story with that. It's really interesting, the story with Captain Marvel and Monica Rambeau. If you've never read it, I definitely suggest reading it. Very well written, in my opinion. This next one is another one that is supposedly very well written, and it's very highly regarded in the comic book space. I've heard a lot about it, but I've never read this series. This is The Question Number One. This is written by Denny O'Neil with art by Bill Sienkiewicz. Like I said, I've never read this story before, but it's highly regarded, and of course, it is post-crisis DC, which is my favorite era of DC. So I'm this one I bought for a reader's copy. I'm gonna read that, and if I'm interested in it, I might pick up a trade, or if they have a hardcover or something, I will check that out. But I'm definitely interested in reading that because I've heard a lot about that question series. It also has a lot of really cool weird covers, kind of like how Animal Man has some really weird but cool covers. The question series also has a lot of really weird cool covers. This next one is Millennium Number Two. Surprise! It's another post-crisis DC book. I got a lot of these. Um, I don't know. It's an era of DC that I gravitate towards. This is actually a key. It is the first appearance of Extrano, who was DC's first openly gay character. It's also the first appearance of Jet, who is Celia Windward. Now, this is going to be some light spec, kind of similar to the Natasha Irons spec. I'll throw it in the spec box, and if something happens, something happens. If not, it is what it is. Like I said, it's DC's first openly gay character. Now, the reason it's light spec, like as I said before, diverse characters they like to put in the movies and TV shows. Although I don't know if we'll see this character because even though it's the first openly gay DC character, we're getting the Authority in James Gunn's Superman Legacy movie, and as y'all know, Midnighter is probably the most well-known DC gay DC character, um, and who was actually who was actually in they wasn't originally DC, but then DC bought the Authority and then melded them into DC. So that's why Midnighter is not the first DC openly gay DC character, but Midnighter is the most prominent and well known gay DC character, and we're getting the Authority in Superman Legacy. So I doubt they'll have more than a couple gay characters because Midnighter's in a relationship in the Authority. So yeah, we probably won't see that character, but I'll hold on to it just in case. This next one or this next cup few are just run filler. This is West Coast Avengers number 32. This one is not a key. Then we have West Coast Avengers 57. I'm collecting, this one's a newsstand, but it's not a key. Interesting cover, though. I'm collecting the West Coast Avengers run. So I got some run filler for cheap here. This next one is West Coast Avengers number 69. This one is not a key either. And then we have some run filler for the new Teen Titans. As y'all know, I am collecting the Marv Wolfman run of the Teen Titans, the new Teen Titans, Tales of the Teen Titans, and then, all the annuals and spotlights and whatnot. The George Perez, Marv Wolfman run of Teen Titans, post Crisis, of course. So this is number 4. This one's not a key, but it's an interesting cover there. This one is number 11. Also not a key, just some run filler. Then we have number 71, which is also not a key. So put some run filler. Interesting cover there with Nightwing. I really like that era of Nightwing suit. We need to see that, man. That like with the neck collar all the way, with the collar all the way up to his like back of his head, and that flamboyant like um, style suit. I really like that. This next one is Tales of the Teen Titans Annual number 4. It's also not a key, but it's a newsstand. So that'll go in for some run filler. This next one is Tales of the Teen Titans 56. Now, this one is a key, and I talked about this one on the channel before. This is number 56, which is the first cameo appearance of Jinx, who y'all may know if you watched the Teen Titans Cartoon Network series from the early 2000s. Jinx had a prominent role in that series. She was kind of like an anti-hero. She started out with Brother Blood in them, and then she kind of um, now every now and then helps out the Titans. So she's kind of like an anti-hero. And she also had a relationship with Cyborg, who you can see in the background there, in the show as well. So that's our first cameo appearance. I already own a copy of that, so I'll swap that out and then sell it. This next one is 61, Tales of the Teen Titans 61. Really interesting cover with Raven there. Look at her head there. Very creepy. The 61 is not a key, so that'll be some run filler. 62 is also not a key. Again, that's going to be run filler. 63. This is also a very interesting cover. Is this a floating heads cover? I think it is a floating heads cover. But the Trigon covers are always very interesting. I really like that actually. This cover, but that's not a key. Just an interesting cover. Then we have some Teen Titans spotlights here. This is number 4, or sorry, no, this is number 3. And I actually already own a copy of this one, so I will swap that out and then sell the other one. This next one is number 4. That is Teen Titans Spotlight number 4. And then we have Teen Titans Spotlight number 9. This is the Changeling one, Beast Boy. And we have number 12. This is a Wonder Girl Spotlight. And those are newsstands as well. This next one is Teen Titans Spotlight number 13. This is a Cyborg one, and this is also a creepy one. Look at Cyborg. He's like breaking into her home. Cyborg, what are you doing, man? Just being a creeper. This next one is number 15, which is the Omega Men, a spotlight on the Omega Men, which is interesting. And then we have number 21, which is featuring Starfire, which I think the very first one is the Starfire one as well, the first couple. So they went back to Starfire. Can't go wrong going back to Starfire. And then we have Teen Titans Spotlight 21. This one is kind of like a throwback to the original Teen Titans series, because that was kind of the font and the style of the original Teen Titans series pre-Crisis. And then post-Crisis, when Mark Wolfman took over, they kind of and George Perez, they switched it up. I prefer the art of the George Perez, Marv Wolfman post-Crisis Teen Titans. I'm not the biggest fan of the pre-Crisis Teen Titans, just because the post-Crisis Teen Titans, Marv Wolfman and George Perez, is what kind of shaped the Teen Titans cartoon, which again, the animated series is how I got into the comic book. So that's just my preference. These next few are run filler for Justice League America, my Justice League America run. Now I'm collecting the Giffen and DeMatteis run, as I said before. I forgot when I was at the shop that that number 60 is the last Giffen and DeMatteis one, and so starting from 61 on was Dan Jurgens, and then a few different writers as well in the later ones. Um, this one is actually a key. It's the first appearance of Bloodwind, who's later revealed to be Martian Manhunter in disguise, but then eventually becomes an original character. And also, this cover is inspired by Justice League of America #1 from 1960. If you've seen that cover, it's this is an homage to that. So I might keep this one just because it's a key and it's an homage cover. But I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of these because these are not Giffen and DeMatteis ones. These are Dan Jurgens ones. I had forgot about that. So we have I don't know, we'll see. We have 62. I might put those up for cheap on the eBay or in on whatnot in an auction. We got 63, 64, 65, and none of these are keys. 61 is a key, and then there's not another key until like number 70. We have 66. We got 67. Cool Blue Beetle cover there. 71, or was that, yeah, that was 67, and this is 71, which is not a key, but this was after the Death of Superman arc, so this was the issue after that. I think actually 70 was, and then this is 71 after that. Um, and then the last couple we have here is a couple Vigilante issues. I started collecting Vigilante like a lot of people after the Peacemaker series because I didn't know who the character was until the Peacemaker series, but I really liked that actor's portrayal of Vigilante, and I'm glad that they're going to be moving on into the DCU, continuing. So this one is actually a key. This is Vigilante number 23. This is the first appearance of Lieutenant Harry Stein, who later joins Checkmate, and I might keep this for some light spec like the other couple because the Checkmate Amanda Waller is going to be appearing in the she's moving over to the DCU as well, and apparently she's going to be having her own HBO series as well. And as y'all know, Amanda Waller, she formed the Checkmate team, um so they're or the team Checkmate. So you would think that in the Amanda Waller series we might be seeing some of the Checkmate characters. I think Johnny Connors actually, who was the big bearded guy in the Peacemaker series, he's from Checkmate, if I'm not mistaken. He worked with them, so we already have seen a one Checkmate character. Um, so I was thinking that we might, you never know, just it's a first appearance of a Checkmate character, so that's related to Amanda Waller, so you never know. We'll hold on to that for some light spec. And then this last 10-cent book here is Vigilante number 28. It's not a key, but it's a cool painted cover, and it's painted by Bill Sienkiewicz, who, you know, is a really popular artist. He does great work, and I really like this painted cover. Painted covers are under used. You know, Alex Ross does them a lot, but you don't see them that much. I guess they're hard to do, so it takes a good artist. But you know, when you do see them, they're you always I like to pick them up because painted covers you don't see them a lot, but when they're done well, they're really good like this one. So yeah, that is all of the 10-cent books that I got in the Black Friday sale. And next up, we have the half price books. All of these books are run filler for my Chris Claremont Uncanny X-Men run. As y'all know, it is difficult to get Uncanny X-Men for a good price, and especially, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the Marvels, since we just saw Beast in the Marvels movie. So the X-Men are fast approaching to the movies and TV shows to the MCU, and the prices for Uncanny X-Men is only going to go up. So if you can get Uncanny X-Men for cheap, definitely get it now while it's cheap. And so that's why I picked up all of these for half off. And I didn't rebag and board these, so y'all can see the prices on there. This one was Uncanny X-Men 144. It's not a key, but a newsstand, and of course that'll be run filler. The next one is 155, which is a key. This is the first team appearance of the Brood, and also the first appearance of the Brood Queen. Now, this one is interesting because according to Key Collector, it had a 144% increase in copies sold this week versus last week, due to speculation that the Brood is going to be in the MCU. Now, I hadn't heard about this spec, which is interesting because I usually am up to date. I stay, tapped into all of the MCU rumors and whatnot. I hadn't heard about this rumor. I didn't pick this up originally because of the spec. I just picked it up because I didn't have this issue. So I guess I will throw that in the spec pile. This next one is 163, which is the origin of binary and who was Carol Danvers' binary, who was subjected to evolutionary enhancements as a host of the brood hatchlings. So that one is related to the other one, I guess. 163, that gets run filler. 190, this one is also a run filler. It's not a key. This next one is 191. This one is a key. It is the first appearance of Nimrod, who was an advanced sentinel from an alternate timeline. This next one is 192, which is a newsstand but not a key. This next one is 195, again another newsstand, but not a key. Excuse me. This next one is 199, or sorry, 198. Sorry, another newsstand but not a key. This next one is a key. It is 205. This is Lady Deathstrike is transformed into her classic cybernetic organism version with claws and adamantium reinforcements. So that is, you can see Wolverine on the cover there. Excuse me. So yeah, that one is a key, 210. And or sorry, 205. This one is 210. This one is also a key. The first cameo appearance of the Marauders, which was Arclight, Harpoon, Riptide, Vertigo, Scalp Hunter, and Scrambler. And this cover was also later reprinted for a trade paperback collection, but digitally augmented to remove Wolverine's cigar that he's smoking there. Um, so a little minor key there. This next couple, I have like 7 copies of this at this point. This is when Dazzler joins the X-Men. It's one of my favorite X-Men, Uncanny X-Men covers, and I have so many copies of this. So I keep coming upon this, which there's rumors that Taylor Swift is going to play Dazzler in the Deadpool movie, Deadpool 3. Um, so I will put those up for sale on Whatnot. This next one is 225, which is not a key, just a little run filler. This next one is 228, which again is not a key, just a little run filler and a newsstand there. This next one is 231, again, not a key. Then we have 232, which is also not a key, but a run filler. We have 233, which is not a key. 236 is a little minor key. This one is the first appearance of the Jean Janier. And then the last few are not a key, but again, just run filler for the run. 246. That one kind of looks like that looks like a transformer kind of on the cover there. And then we have 270. I love the covers where they're blasting through the trade dress. There's a few covers in the Uncanny X-Men run like that. Love those covers. And then this is a really dope cover too. 272. Um, that is like a classic late 80s, early 90s cover there. So that is all of the half off books that I got. A lot of run filler for my Uncanny X-Men run. And that's everything that I picked up at my local comic book shop's Black Friday sale. I've noticed that I've been coming up on a lot of post-crisis DC series lately. Maybe that's like the Mandela effect where you're thinking about something and so then you start seeing it a lot out. Is that the Mandela effect? I can't remember. But either way, let me know down in the comments below if your LCS had any Black Friday sales, and if they did you pick up anything cool at your comic book shop? Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel for more comic book and pop culture talk, and make sure you shoot me a follow on Whatnot and my recently created eBay store to keep track of everything that I will be selling. And I will see y'all another day.